Alright, good evening everybody. I believe we are now live. Let's just make sure we get the right audio levels up here. Alright, everything should now be up and running. Gather myself here. Welcome to the Sim Experience BMW M2 CS Racing Cup Season 1 of 2022. It's quite a mouthful. I'll be your commentator, Dennis Mitchell. The broadcast director is Sim Experience SA. Tonight we're coming to you for round 1 from Portland International, the full circuit. There's actually a full version and a shortened version. For a 15-minute qualifying session followed by a 30-minute race, no mandatory pit stops, all up to the drivers to decide if they need one. Hopefully they don't, because it should be touch and go tyre-wise. Tyres do take a few laps to warm up. It's about a 3-kilometer circuit, just over 3 kilometers. Car probably takes about 3 laps to get the tyres up to temperature, which is going to make for an interesting qualifying. But this is the start of our first new series with these cars. We'll be doing 8 events. Let's just get all the timing and things up and I'll chat in the background. So this series will have 8 rounds, and following this series we'll have a short Porsche Cup of 5 rounds, and then we will have a second season of this with a separate champion. So the 2 seasons are totally separate from each other. Just gives the guys a bit more chance to get the hang of everything. It's good to see we've got quite a good attendance tonight. I see some of the guys haven't yet made it. We should be sitting at about 25 to 30 guys if everyone were to attend that's supposed to be attending. But not too bad. 18 members should make for a good race. The times at the top are extremely close in practice. The top 4 guys were covered by a 10th. As we see Mika just losing it into the final corner. Quite a tricky corner there if you just get a little bit too much on the grass, and that happens. But you kind of have to push a little bit on the grass to get it to rotate. And we see Peter Murray also losing it there now. Probably going to go into the barrier. Yep, unfortunately. Not going through the barrier by the looks of it. So we have about 12 and a half minutes left of qualifying. Currently we have no time set on the board. So there should be a very exciting battle at the front, but also there should be some close battles throughout the field. All the way down to the back of the pack. Lap times are extremely close, so pretty much no matter where you are in the field, you're likely to have a battle with someone. So we're up to 20 guys on circuit at the moment. A little bit of contact there. Some carnage in qualifying. Not sure what's happening there. The one car is stuck in the ground. That was an interesting situation there. Good to see everyone here. And thank you once again for joining us on YouTube. We have our usual. So Denise, thank you for joining us, and good luck to Mika tonight. I see he's using the skin that Monet had created. Fantastic looking skin, that really does look fantastic. Modified it for his needs and it looks great, looks really good. I see drivers coming and going as we progressing here. As we're looking at the moment at Jason with his skin. Chris, of course, is his teammate, is currently sitting in provisional pole position. Although I'm pretty sure he's going to have to a bit better than that to keep it. The times were in the 1 minute high, 1 minute 20s. So that's just over a second off where he needs to be. Although Chris is one of the top 4 guys in the time, so he will get there. Basil van Rijn was the other, as was Mika, as was Jason. Those were the top 4 times. And then the pack that followed was pretty close. We had Sean Webber, which was half a second off. He's now dropped into 2nd place there. Ross Human's now in 3rd place. Peter Geldernes has joined us as well, so great to have Peter with us. Currently sitting in 4th. Stanton Augustus currently in 5th, just been pipped by Sean Johnson, and now we have Timo Smit sticking it in pole position. That's kind of getting closer to the times we were expecting. Timo also one of the fastest times, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be up there. These times are likely to be changing non-stop. Some fantastic skins. I'm just going to, while we're watching some of these guys driving around, I just want to show you some of the skins, and I'll start off with my favorite, which is Mario's skin. I think this is one of the most amazing looking skins. This is like a medical car type skin. Absolutely brilliant. It kind of reminds me of a medical car crossed with an Alfa Romeo skin. Absolutely amazing the way it looks. And we have Stephen Gaslin's. Unfortunately, for some reason, it's showing the wrong skin there. He should have a Borat skin, and does it? Let's have a look at some of the other skins. I think Dani should have a skin as well. Where has Dani gone to? Dani has popped up to 6th place. Well done, Dani. And for some reason, it's showing the skins all wrong. Hopefully, this will be sorted for the next round. So expect a little bit of chaos with the skins at the moment. We have Stanton in his amazing looking skin as well. I'm seeing lots of skins, but I'm not able to catch up with them as the timings have changed. Of course, Jason has his skin. He's got the yellow mirrors. Chris has got the red mirrors, as we see now. Sean Webber, I believe, is just using a standard skin. Ross Human is using Team America skin, which looks absolutely fantastic as well. And Matt Damon on the side, American flag colors. Oh, that's absolutely awesome. Jean-Louis Dupinar's skin also looking really, really amazing. PZN Panel Beaters is his sponsor. Nicely all over the car, looks really good. Peter Geldenaes, I think he's also got his own BP colors, looks pretty awesome as well. Reminds me of the old Nissan BP colors touring cars in South Africa. Looks really, really good. I think Sean Johnson is a standard car. Yoko doesn't have his skin created yet. Harvey Host I don't think has either. A lot of the guys don't actually have their skins created yet, so they're using standard skins. Morris has his awesome Luma colors. It actually looks really good on the BM. Yeah, that looks fantastic, Morris. It's the first time I'm seeing his skin. Alright, so let's get back to the action. We have Mika Abrams while I'm babbling away. Mika Abrams currently on pole position on 121.092. 10th ahead of Timo Smit, who's just a 10th ahead of Jason Underwood. So, top 3 covered by 2/10 at the moment. You see Mika drifting nicely through the final couple of corners, getting it on 2 wheels there, and just a little bit too much, losing too much traction and getting onto the grass. So Jason on for a good lap here, but unfortunately catching traffic. Looked like he was probably about a 10th under overall, but then happened to catch up to traffic. Alright, so can Timo improve? Not on this lap. The 9-second deficit in the first sector, that's not happening. So coming into this series, Stephen Gaston was claiming that he was going to be the champion and everyone else has to fight for second. So Stephen's going to have to pull his pants up if he's intending on doing that, because at the moment he's only 6/10 off. He's in 5th place at the moment. He's got the pace on other tracks. Doesn't seem to quite have the edge around here. Basil van Rijn also struggling at the moment. He's been on pace for the most part. I'm not sure why that car's floating. That should be the Back to the Future skin. That is very, very odd. There's some strange oddity happening there. Basil van Rijn is currently 1.2 seconds off, which is odd because he's been in the 120s as well, so expecting him to improve. Speaking of improvements, Jason is now on for about a 10th and a half up at the moment. So this is going to put him probably second, possibly in line for first as he's coming up to the back of Jean-Andre. Back of Mario, it looks like it. Let's see, where does it put him? What was his final sector like? At 20.9, just taking pole position by a 10th and a half. So it was a decent final sector. It wasn't the fastest, but pretty decent. So Jason currently on pole from Mika Abrams, from Timo Smit, from Chris Collison, who's currently sitting in the pits. Stephen Kessler now in 5th place, Ross Human 6th, Jean-Louis Dupinard 7th, Sean Webber 8th. As I say that Sean Webber is now popping up into 5th place, Stephen Kessler now 6th, Jean-Louis 7th, Ross Human 8th, Basil is now 9th, and Peter Geldenaes in 10th, with Dani Stander in 11th. Herman Neverhout in 12th place, Sean Johnson 13th, Stanton Augustus 14th, Andre Hildebrandt in 15th, Mario van Veek in 16th, Peter Maria in 17th. There we see one of the guys spinning off there and getting collected by a car coming past. Mario Claessen's currently 18th, Hilke Veronica in 19th, and Javi Kroos 19th. And as I said, Javi Kroos has just popped it ahead of Hilke. So as you can see, the final guys 5.8 seconds off the pace, but there's someone really close to them no matter where they are. So the final three got a couple of tenths between them, so they're going to have a good battle there. Yeah, good fun to be had no matter where you are in the field at the moment. So we're into the final, well, almost final 4 minutes. Jason's still currently in pole position from Mika Abrams and Timo Smith. Who's going to challenge him? Timo with the fastest, or just the fastest first sector, slightly off in the middle sector, but definitely going to pop it close. How's his final sector going to compare? So currently 2.5 tenths off, and looks like he didn't improve much, about a tenth he improved. So still staying in third, only just behind Mika Abrams though, but it's close. Basil van Rijn has managed to move it up to 7th place. So lots of movement happening down the field. I'm trying to keep up with everything that's happening. Javi Kroos has now moved up to 18th, so he's now got ahead of Mario Claessen's. So it's pretty close no matter where you are in the field. There's a couple of tenths here and there and you can pick up a place or two. So currently the top 9 covered by a second, which is pretty good. In these cars it's going to be hectic in the race because it's capable of running so close to each other, and in the pack they're going to be slowing each other down. And they're going to be careful of contact like that. And as we see that Basil's spinning off, he's actually just stuck it into 4th place as well. So Basil currently half a second off. I see he's heading out of the pits now, so he's going to have enough time to get another run in. See some of the guys just getting it slightly wrong. Oh, that's quite a heavy impact to the wall there. Right, so Jason Underwood currently with 2 minutes to go is the pole setter. He's looking to improve by almost 2 tenths at the moment. I think the fastest time we've seen on the server is about a 20.6, so he's going to be pretty close to that at the moment. At 20.777. Right, so Mika looking to improve slightly, and he did, but not enough. So Chris not looking to improve on this lap with a 1 second deficit in the first sector. So all kinds of action happening throughout the field at the moment. Right, so a minute left to go. Jason won't be improving on this lap, but he might have enough time to get it around and actually go for one more lap after this, as long as his tyres can hang in there, as long as he's got enough fuel. So let me have a look at the timings at the moment and see who's on for a good lap. At the moment no one is going purple, but Mika and Timo are personal best in sector 1, Mika is personal best in sector 2. So let's have a look at Mika. In fact, he's got the fastest middle sector. Alright, let's see how the final sector ends. Slightly wide there. He might have hung on to it. Let's see, will it be enough? It's going to be close. Probably lost about half a tenth to a tenth on that exit, so let's see. Look at that. Just under a tenth. I think if he got that final corner right, he would have had pole position. That's pretty close. But he's got enough time to do one more lap. So the checkered flag is out. Everyone will have to finish their laps now. Let's see. Chris is going to improve, but not by enough. He might get up to 4th place if he gets it all perfect. No, he stays 5th. Alright, Jason now almost 4 tenths off in the first sector. I don't think he's going to improve then. So what is happening with Timo then perhaps? Let's see, Timo on a good lap maybe. It's showing he's on an out lap, so he's not going to be able to do another lap. So I guess that's it for Timo. And what about Basil then? No, Basil's in the pits. I'm guessing that's it then. So the lap time's dropping quite a bit. Alright, so before we jump to our ad breaks, let's just have a quick look at our schedule. So for season 1 we will have 8 rounds starting tonight at Portland International. Next week we'll be at Road America. Then we'll go over to Croft in the UK, then back to America to Lime Rock Park, and then staying in America to Laguna Seca, then over to Austria to Red Bull Ring, then to Tor Poznan in Poland, and then over to Japan to Suzuka, which will be using the Suzuka West with the chicane. So that should be an interesting event. Alright, so let's head off to an ad break and I'll be back with you shortly. Alright, welcome back everyone. As we see everyone heading back out to do their formation laps. I'm not sure why some are starting from the pits. I guess they missed the countdown timer. There's usually about a 30-second timer. If you miss that, you start from the pits. So some of the drivers unfortunately are not making the start, so they'll be starting from the back of the grid or from pit lane. Hopefully they don't get penalties leaving the pit lane with a red light. As we see a penalty already for Marius van Wyk, so I presume there was a red light and he's unfortunately entered the track. So that's not a good start for him unfortunately. Right, so let's have a look at the starting order while we're watching this, as we see another one going to get a penalty. Timo Smith getting a penalty. Oh, that's a bit of a shock. Right, so someone is at least looking at the right stuff in the pits. So, starting in pole position, Jason Underwood from Mika Abrams, from Timo Smith, who will be having to deal with a penalty from Basil van Rijn. From Chris Collison, from Sean Webber, from Stephen Castellan, from Jean-Louis Dubonnet. From Ross Human, from Peter Geldenes, from Dani Stander, from Herman Nivert. In the 13th place, Stanton Augustus from Sean Johnson, from Andre Hildebrandt and Mario Claessens. And then I believe the final 2 rows of the grid, Marius van Wyk, who also has a penalty, and Harvey Goos. Alright, so before before we get going, let's just do the final reminder of where we are. So we are at Portland International for round 1 of the 2022 BMW M2 CS Racing Cup Season 1. That's a mouthful. Alright, so let's get this out of the way as everyone forms up on the grid. Hopefully not too many more penalties. Alright, let's see what happens now. So quite a few drivers getting penalties. I see we've lost 2 drivers. I'm not sure if any of them have... Oh, we see some of the guys already in the pits there. We've lost 2 drivers already. Not sure which those were. Someone moving around in the background there. Hopefully the grid will get going as soon as they are in the right spot. It looks like it's Sean Johnson that's not quite in position. Alright, here we go. As everything's ready to go. 3 seconds. 2, 1. And we're off. Right, green flag. So, penalties for several of the drivers. Mika Abrams heading down to turn 1 in pretty much only being challenged by Jason as his other main rival, Timo Smits, I think, has his penalty to serve. We see all kinds of movement. Chandra Dupanan dropping down quite a lot there. Right, Mika got quite a clear track at the moment. So Timo Smits still sitting in 3rd place, but I believe he's going to have to serve his penalty. He'll have 3 laps to do that. I believe it'll be a drive-through. If it's a drive-through, he's probably going to lose about 10 to 15 seconds. If it's a stop-go, he's probably going to lose about 20 to 25 seconds. So unfortunately, that's going to put him out of the running most likely. Certainly for the win. But anything's possible, anything can happen. So as we're currently looking at Dani Stander, Stanton Augustus in 12th place. I believe he's got a penalty as well. I think he didn't line up correctly at the start. So quite a few drivers getting penalties. Nice move up the inside there. There's a move up the inside of Mario there. Right, so lots of movement happening. We see Timo Smit currently in the pits, as is Stanton Augustus. So hopefully they don't do any pit speeding. Let's see, is it a drive-through penalty or is it just... It was just a drive-through. So, Timo Smit now coming out in 15th place. What kind of recovery can he get from that? So it was about 14 seconds. So, yeah, I was kind of right, 10 to 15 seconds, and it's about 14 seconds. So Hammond, there we see Hammond at the moment, currently in 12th place, right in the middle of the pack. So Mika Abrams, 0.7 of a second away from Jason Abrams at the moment. Ross Human now in 3rd place, but quite a far way back, 4.2 seconds. Chris Collison in 4th place. Peter Geldernees doing a solid 5th place, having not driven rFactor in a while, having just reinstalled it about 2 days ago, downloading the car and getting back into it. Great to see, Peter. Great to see you driving again. Basil van Rijn also not having the strongest of races at the moment, only 6th place at the moment. Dani Stander having a strong showing ahead of Sean Johnson at the moment. So good races for some of the guys at the moment, making their way through the pack. See some of the cars with a bit of buckled bodywork already. Jason just setting the fastest lap, and you see a bit of contact there. Timo coming through the pack, pushing a little bit. I believe that was Timo getting past on Andre, which looks like he's just gone to the pit, so possibly a penalty for Andre as well. See someone going wide there. Who was that? Was that Dani Stander? I believe it is. Dani unfortunately dropping back from 7th place. Now what position is he going to recover? Is it now 11th, 12th? Timo Smit now working his way back up. Dani now 13th. That's a shame. He was in a solid 7th place. So Sean Johnson gaining the advantage from that. He's on board now with Basil van Rijn. Sitting nicely behind Peter Veldenaes in his beautiful BP colour scheme. Some of these retro colour schemes really look fantastic. Right, so Mika currently putting out a bit of a gap on Jason here. As in the background we see Chris having a look at Ross on the brakes, as we see Basil now having a look on the brakes, but not quite. Jean-Andre Dupin on that fantastic PZN panel on Peter's colour scheme. So I believe it's Timo Smith right behind him. So Timo is struggling to get through the field. He's got 25 minutes left, but it's not so easy to get through the guys here. Jean-Andre looking at the back of Sean Webber here. So while we're talking on the Seans, it looks like Sean Johnson has just made a mistake. No, he hasn't, sorry, someone else was jiggling back and forward there. So Sean Johnson, a little bit of bodywork damage, but still solidly there in 7th place. So let's have a look at our lap times. So Mika Abrams with the best of 120.7, Jason Under with the best of 121.0, Ross Human on a 122.6, Chris on a 22.4. Peter on a 22.0, Basil on a 22.1, so lap time was really close. And then Sean Johnson at 23.4, Stephen Castle at 22.3, Sean Webber at 21.7. So Sean Webber's got good pace, but unfortunately he's in the wrong part of the track. Jean-Andre Dupin on a 122.8, so lap time's really close. Timo Swit at 21.6, Herman's on a 24.0, Morris on a 26.1, Mario Claessen's on a 25.0. Tony Stander 24.4, Harvey Hurst at 26, Andre Hildebrandt best of a 39, but I think that's because of all his penalties he's been serving. So lots of issues for the drivers. You see the crumpled front end of Chris's car. Obviously caught up in some contact at the start. You see a new best lap there from Mika Abrams of 120.765. Timo having a look up the inside of Jean-Andre, no space there, Timo. That was really opportunist, but unfortunately it didn't pan out. Jean-Andre taking his line and just cutting Timo's nose off. But that's how close it is. This fantastic pack of guys here. Oh, someone going wide there. All kinds of pushing and barging there. Everyone's trying their hardest. Oh, Sean getting his tail pushed around there. Lots of barging. Unfortunately the cars get sideways and they've got to fight the slide, and while they're sliding the next guy bumps him slightly. That's not going to end well. Yeah, 3 into 1 doesn't go. It wasn't very good to see all the contact there. Sometimes when you're having contact like that, you've got to learn to back off. You come off second best if you just keep pushing back. So anything with race drivers, you tend to be overly aggressive all the time. And there's a point where you need to just back off a bit to benefit yourself and those around you. For instance, they're both pushing on each other, turning into each other. If they just backed off a bit, neither of them would have been pushed around and they would have kept their positions. So we have a DNF from Andre Hildebrand, so I'm not sure what happened with Andre. I know he had the problems at the start, maybe he just couldn't get his penalties sorted out. Oh, contact there, Ross up the inside of Chris. A lot more contact than I was thinking. I thought we might see a little bit of pushing and barging, but I didn't think it would be such argy-bargy. As we see, Stephen Castellan unfortunately has now got a DNF. Not a good start to his championship. So Mika with a commanding lead at the moment of almost 3.5 seconds. So is Mika going to be dominating this series as well? It's looking like he would have some stiff competition, but at the moment the competition all seems to be taking themselves out. As we see a penalty for Augustus as well, and Chris getting taken out there. I think Ross turned in as Chris was coming next to him, and yeah, a bit unfortunate. Bit of useless information, but these cars, according to the game's information, are 3-litre V6s that I was reading online in one of the forums about the MotoGP's pace car, which uses this exact car, and they were saying it's an inline 6, but it's not, it's a V6. You can actually hear it on these onboards. Actually sound fantastic. So almost a 4-second lead at the moment for Mika Abrams. So a little bit of a gap. Let's have a look at the YouTube comments at the moment. So we have Rudy van der Westhuizen saying push Baz, push. Peter Geldernes saying happy to be back. So yes, happy to have you back, Peter. And Lynn Svenster saying Jason, you can do this. Yeah, Jason needs to push a bit more. He's unfortunately not keeping up with Mika at the moment, so lost the advantage that he might have had. Basil van Rijn, as we're looking at Basil, I'm surprised that Basil's not further up the road. He was definitely looking like a top contender going by the times. He had the second fastest time on the server, which was only probably about 2 thousandths of a second or 3 thousandths of a second slower than the fastest time. Fastest time was set by Chris as well. So Chris also not doing so well at the moment, but of course we've seen him having contact with some of the drivers, unfortunately getting spun around by, I believe it was Ross. I think Ross turned in and Chris happened to be going up the inside, and Ross had already committed to the line. Well, from the angle I saw. I'd have to see that again to know. One of the drivers I know has not made the race was Hilke Verenigde, which is a bit of a bummer because himself and Carl Vickers were exchanging very close lap times. So himself and Andre Hildebrand, there would have been a nice battle at the back between them. I think he would have progressed nicely in the field if he had managed to stick it out here. So some surprises throughout the field at the moment. I guess the big surprise is all the contact. And unfortunately the guys going off, they will have to learn from this though. Can't put, I guess the guys are expecting that with the physics and rFactor you can push and get away with a bit more, but it's more realistic. It doesn't mean that you can do it endlessly. You can still get pushed off. And Rian van der Westhuizen saying, hi all, how's it Rian? Hope to see you at the next round. So yeah, a bit too much pushing and the guys have lost places. Sean Johnson was doing really good up until his incident that he had where unfortunately he was involved in a 3 or 4 or 5-way battle. I think they were 3 wide at one point and he just got squeezed. So that's just unfortunately a racing incident. But some of the other incidents were definitely more avoidable. So the guys will have to learn how to get the most out of this without having too many incidents and spins and things. So we lost another driver now, Stanton Augustus, having a DNF, so I'm not sure if he also perhaps had a penalty maybe. If you get a penalty, I believe I did see him had a penalty or got a penalty a lap or two back. Maybe he didn't serve it, and if you don't serve it you get a DNF after 3 laps. Or you get the black flag effectively. Alright, so while we're doing this, let's have a look at our mid-race results. Unfortunately, we have the Alwin banner, our wonderful sponsor, that I did this as it popped up. So Mick Abrams in first at the moment, from Jason Underwood, from Peter Caldernes, from Ross Human, Basil Conrain, Chris Collison, Timo Smith, having worked his way up from a penalty up to 7th. Sean Webber, Jean de Dupenau also having been involved in some contact. And Herman Nivo did his first race with us in rFactor, so brilliant to be in the top 10 already. Sean Johnson 11th after that contact that he was very unlucky there. Donnie Stunder 12th, Morris and Vague 13th, Mario Claessens 14th, Harvey Coase 15th, Stanton Augustus a DNF, Stephen Castellan a DNF, and Andre Hildebrand a DNF. So at the moment we kind of have a surprise in third of Peter Geldernes. Fantastic result by Peter. Having not raced in so long and now being back, and yeah, solid result. Keep your nose clean, you'll get a good result. You definitely don't want to be sticking your nose up the inside of someone getting taken out. But unfortunately sometimes you see the guys getting taken out through means not their own. As we see Hammond now unfortunately having to go to the pits, I'm not sure why. It looked like it was a drive-through, so possibly a penalty he's just served. So he might have cut the grass one too many times and got a penalty. You will get penalties if you take shortcuts. See, we have a yellow in sector 3, but it's gone away pretty quickly. I'm not sure what that was. So at the moment Basil's pretty close up behind Ross. Quite a good battle going on there for 4th place, and I believe if Basil can get by fairly quickly, he doesn't have any car damage, he should have the pace to catch Peter. Peter getting on 2 wheels there nicely over the curb as well, managing to get it down quick enough to not lose too much drive. These cars you can get on 2 wheels, and you can roll them as well if you're a bit too aggressive over the curbs. So Sean Johnson back up into the top 10. A solid result so far for Sean. Unfortunately, he could have possibly been a top 5 even if the pace he's actually showing in the race is pretty good. So at the moment it looks like Nico is lapping at about a second a lap faster than Jason, or just under a second a lap faster. I'm not sure where Jason's pace has gone, and Peter Geldernes, his pace is pretty much on par with Jason's at the moment. So, wow, most of the drivers in the previous lap in the 122s up till 7th place, which was Timo, and he was in the 21s. And then some more 22s and another 21 by Jean de Dupenau. Jean de Dupenau are having some good pace at the moment. Unfortunately, being involved in that one incident, he's lost him a lot of places. A lot of close quarters racing here. It's Ross, Basil, and I believe Chris. Oh, Basil getting a bit sideways there. course, these cars do come standard with traction control and with ABS. They are proper racing spec cars, but they are fitted with traction control and ABS. So there are 3 settings on the traction control. By default it's off. You can set it to on, which is like a low setting, and on your second setting, which is also on but a higher setting. Most of the guys will be running with it off or with it on low. ABS you can't adjust, it's just on. So these cars are really amazing the way that they handle. You can throw them around if you have the traction control off. You can really have a lot of fun with them, but on some tracks you need to drive like that. On other tracks you need to be a bit more cautious, and in the slower corners you might want to use the traction control. Oh, Peter up the inside here. Oh, that was close. Oh, now he's got a penalty for cutting the track. So Peter's race has gone from brilliant to sadly not so good. From a potential podium, now he's in 8th place with a penalty. Unfortunately, cutting across the entry to turn 1 there did not do him any favours. And I see we've lost another driver in Mario Claessens. So 10 minutes left to go. Drivers need to remember that it's a 30-minute race. You need to pace yourself and make sure you get to the end. If you don't get to the end, you're not going to win. And of course, the more contact you have, the slower your car will get. Quite interesting hearing the gearing being used. In my little bit of testing with these cars, I found using higher gearing definitely works. And it sounds like some of the drivers, like there we heard Basil using a much lower gear, getting the revs up, and I found with these cars keeping the revs higher rather than lower actually worse. I think the torque of the engine is better with the lower revs, helps stop the car, and also better acceleration. It will also help limit the slip of the wheels. It looks like Basil's getting the coal loosened sideways, and it looks like Peter Geldernes is still in the background, so he hasn't yet served his penalty. I hope he serves it and doesn't get a black flag. It would be a shame to end with a black flag. Right, so Timo currently in 6th place. Oh, contact with Basil. I think Basil just turning in on him there. Maybe giving him the squeeze, and Timo not having anywhere to go. That was all very messy. And Basil van Rijn is now at a DNF. I'm not sure, maybe he had an issue with the car, maybe it blew the motor, but it looked like he was turning in towards the wall and Timo was between him and the wall. So I'm not sure if that was the fending that went wrong or if that was a mechanical error, mechanical failure I should say. The timing screen is just saying DNF, so I presume it's not a mechanical issue. Right, so Mika Abrams from Jason Underwood from Chris Collison is our top 3, and Ross sticking his nose right on there as I'm speaking of him. So fighting hard for that 3rd place. You see all the damage to all the cars. And the guys will get more used to the cars as the season progresses hopefully, and we won't see as much contact. Yeah, lots of contact like that, and unfortunately there Chris getting a spin because he got the slightest of taps and then getting onto the grass, and that's the end of it. That's why sometimes it's just best avoid contact even if you lose the position. So Peter Gelden is serving his penalty at the moment. So it looks like it's a drive-through penalty. Donnie Stander doing a penalty at the moment, but he's stopping. So Ham and Nivoet also doing a penalty at the moment. So 3 drivers currently in the pits. So Sean Johnson might pick up another place now. I'm not sure if he's too far back, but he might be lucky enough to pick off the place from Peter Geldenes. And having been in 7th place before he was taken out in that incident earlier, he might actually regain 8th place. And he has. So Peter's on the pits a very long time. That can't be for a stop and go, so I presume he's doing some repairs or something. And Hammond is also in for a very long time, as is Donnie Stander, so I presume the drivers are doing repairs in the pits. Maybe with too much contact the steering's been knocked skew or something. So the drivers are starting to lose quite a lot of places as a result of this. So Morris van Wyk has managed to make his way up to 9th place thanks to the other incidents in the pits. So Peter Geldenes has now exited the pits in 10th place. Sean Webber sticking his nose up around Ross, making a little bit of contact, but that was pretty clean. Chris Collison now in the pits. I wonder if it's for the late tyre changes or what it is, but the guys seem to be having issues. I haven't seen any notifications of penalties for all these drivers, so I presume it's either for damage or for tyres. And considering some of the guys have had some pretty heavy contact and they haven't yet pitted, I would presume it's then for tyres. Maybe the tyres are just going off. Maybe those are the guys that are driving without traction control and it's wearing them out a bit quicker, possibly. I find traction control is definitely faster on some tracks. It helps rotate the car, but it does give you a bit more wear. Yeah, that was Donnie that they were coming past there, moving nicely out of the way for them. So Sean Webber currently in 4th place now on the attack. He's got Timo Smith right behind him, so this is a nice 3-way battle for... Oh, is this effectively the podium? And yes. So it's Webber, Smith, and Jason is now just pitted, so peculiar that so many of the drivers are pitting. I can only assume it's for tyres. So we currently have Mika Abrams in first from, I wonder if he's going to need to pit. He's got plenty of time if he does, so he can pit and come out in the lead with fresh tyres, no problem. Ross Human currently in second from Sean Webber from Timo Smith. And Jean-Louis Dupinal having all the contact early on has managed to stick it in 5th place, and Sean Johnson now up to 6th place. So quite a change in the results with all the argy-bargy happening, with the tyre wear happening, and the damage to the cars. The guys are going to have to learn the damage model as well, so you don't want to make contact. You are going to have to pay the price if you do. As is taking shortcuts. You don't want to take shortcuts and come on track faster than you would have if you had gone the normal route, because then you will get a penalty. And that's all done on the server side, so if the server works out that you've gained an advantage, it will penalise you. Peter Geldenes in the pits once again, with 2 minutes to go. So it's very, very interesting from... The pits are extremely active in this race. Right, so seeing the fight there, Timo, Sean and I believe Ross. So it's a 3-way fight for second place. Sean now looking up the inside of Ross. So 5 retirements already in the race. Only 13 drivers remaining. We somehow lost 2 drivers before the race had started. Ilka being one of them. I'm not sure who the final driver was. Sorry if I'm missing you. Just getting a little bit of sideways motion there, losing the position to Timo now. So Sean Webber up to 2nd place from Timo Smith. Ross Human now demoted down to 4th place. So from 2nd to 4th in a lap. Oh, looks like we see Marius van Wyk there. I presume that's just moving over to let the guys past. Hopefully he doesn't cut across the track and get a penalty. Just listening to the revs, I'm pretty sure the tyres are pretty knackered because you can hear how much he's off the throttle as we finally get to see Mika. We haven't seen much of Mika, he's just been gone in the lead. But yeah, it sounds like the tyres are gone. The guys are having to drive very cautiously. Mika getting it pretty sideways there. And coming across to take the victory. Well, not yet. He's coming up to the line to take the victory now. Alright, so superb victory there for Mika Abrams. Great pace. Great start as well, the way he positioned his car, making the most of everyone else's mistakes and just walking away from everyone as a result. So Sean Webber having a solid race, coming through the pack up to 2nd place. Timo Smith not on his heels, they're also having an action-packed race. Unfortunately getting his nose dirty on 1 or 2 occasions. As we see Marius van Wyk coming across the line. Who's that? Is that Chris? I believe it's Chris coming up. Okay, so it was Jason. So some surprises in the field at the moment. Guys finishing where I didn't expect him to finish. And the challenges that I expected to be the challenges having all kinds of issues. So Mika pretty much having no one challenging. And I was expecting that Mika would have to fight his ass off, excuse my French, to fight for the victory against possibly 4 other drivers. And yet those other drivers all had issues. So pretty much handed that one to Mika tonight. So let's have a look at our results. So Mika Abrams taking it from Sean Webber from Timo Smith. That will be our podium finishers. Ross Human, solid 4th place from Jean-Andre Duppenaar. Sean Johnson is solid 6th place. Chris Collison 7th. Jason Underwood 8th. Marius van Wyk 9th. And Harvey Ghost taking a solid 10th place. Peter Geldenhuys getting 11th place, even though they had a DQ. Herman Nevoets, I guess that's going to update itself. It hasn't quite showed all the results properly there. Then Donnie Stander, then Basil van Rijn, Mario Claessens, Stanton Augustus, Steven Castellan, and Andre Hildebrandt. So I'm going to jump to a ad break, and then I'll catch you with some of the guys for some interviews. All right, welcome back, everyone. Unfortunately, we don't have Timo with us. He finished third, but he wasn't in the chats yet. So if Timo's around and he can join us before this is over, then he can come have a chat with us. So in place of Timo, I've brought in Ross. So Ross, solid fourth place. Let's start with you. Quite an amazing race, all sorts of action throughout. Unfortunately, lots of barging and some of the guys getting pushed around and losing out as a result of it. But you managed to get a nice solid fourth place. So how was the race from your side?
Good, exciting. Lots of action in front of me, a hell of a lot of action behind me. Started eating through my tires, seeing Sean and Tino in my rear view constantly. So yeah, it is inevitable. They were going to get past me, but it was good otherwise. It's a good race.
Yeah, talking about tyres, it looked like quite a few of the guys decided to pit for tyres at the end because I didn't see them with penalties, yet they were pitting and stopping. So I gather guys were going in for tyres.
Started getting to the low 70s in the final couple of laps.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then on to Sean. Sean, you had quite an amazing race, at least working your way up to second. You also unfortunately involved in some incidents early on, having to take avoiding action and all sorts of things, but getting a solid second place. So congratulations on your podium. How was the race from your point of view?
It started out from the pit lane and got to the first corner, and there were cars all over the place, and it pretty much stayed like that for a while until I hooked onto the back of Timo, and then him and I were gaining on the guys in front of us quite rapidly. So I decided more to stick with him and drive with him until we caught the other guys. Yeah, and then I'm not too sure. There was a bit of something that happened, and I ended up in second place. So I'm not 100% sure what happened.
Yeah, I think there were lots of incidents with guys sort of pushing other guys off. Saw quite a few of that on the stream, unfortunately. And then I think one or two of the guys also getting penalties. For example, Peter, I think, at some point ended up going across the first chicane there, went straight across, and I think he regained the track faster than he would have if he'd went the normal way and got a penalty and then didn't serve the penalty correctly, and this led to other things. So a few guys having penalties.
Yeah, I saw a few guys going across the grass there and gaining time, but obviously they get penalized, you know?
Yeah, and also the nature of this track, it's quite a sort of slower, tighter track. I think some of the corners are catching the guys out when they're trying to race, and they just ended up in all sorts of incidents. And first race of the season, no one wants to yield, and that unfortunately ends up with both drivers in the wall.
Yeah.
So hopefully the next round goes better. We'll have to also have a talk with some of the drivers. But yeah, Mika, up to you then. Back on the top step once again. So looking down at everyone. Fantastic race from your point of view. Kept your nose clean and just didn't look back. So anything from your side that you need to add that we don't really know?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I was struggling a lot on tires. I burned them so badly, trying to push away from Jason. But it's glad to see that our rivalry is still burning from F4, and it was a really close race. So, well, not really close race, but the times were really close. So I'm looking forward to an exciting season.
Yeah, I was expecting a nice sort of four-way battle between yourself and a couple of the other guys, and all of them seem to have issues in the race of different kinds, as well as tire issues. And looked like Steven, unfortunately, he had an issue getting taken out in one of the incidents, and then the other guys having tire issues and all sorts of things. So you ended up with quite a commanding 30-second lead in the end.
Yeah, I guess everything about this car is consistency. So maybe guys weren't just consistent. Unfortunate for Steven. It's a very hard car to get right, but congrats to everyone. Everyone did an amazing job, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think the next race, which will be Road America, I think that'll be slightly different. It's a faster, sort of more flowing track. This track that we're at now, Portland, is a much tighter track, slower speeds. It packs the guys up a lot more in the braking zones, whereas I think Road America will be faster corners, so it won't be quite as compact. So it might make for better racing, or it should be easier for the guys to sort of drive in a pack.
Oh yeah, most definitely. We did the test race there, and everyone was super close, bunched up together. So
yes. Yes, and in the testing as well. And I remember you particularly pushing next to someone down the straight, testing out the physics and how it all worked, and it definitely seemed better in the braking zones. We didn't have the issues like we had here.
No, definitely not. And it didn't burn the tires as much, and definitely produced better racing.
Yes, the tyres seem to be a big issue. I wasn't sure if 30 minutes would be an issue, but it actually was. So, well, probably a third of the field looked like they needed to, at some point, stop with tyres. So, how are your tyres at the end, Mika?
My tires were around 70-ish. I was going to do a pit stop, but I didn't know whether 30 seconds was enough. So I just decided to conserve once Jason ran out of fuel, I believe. So yeah, I didn't really wear my tires towards the end, but at the beginning I was pushing super hard.
Yeah, unfortunately, quite a few of the guys having issues tonight. So, just looking at some of the chats as well, guys aren't happy about some things. Quite a few guys didn't make it tonight, but still a fairly decent turnaround. With 18 guys making the race, there were 20 at one point, but somehow we lost 2 by the time the race started. So hopefully we'll have a few more guys joining as the season progresses and the guys get the hang of the cars. The racing gets a lot closer because the lap times on the boards are definitely a lot closer than what it showed in the racing tonight.
Yeah, definitely. It's unfortunate what happened to other guys, but I guess it's not a one-round championship.
Yes.
Just push harder for the next rounds and yeah, keep consistent.
So
That's the
let's start with
same.
you, Mika. Then also just any shout outs from your side?
Yeah, shout out to my mom because I won at her home track. A shout out to my dad as well. Shout out to some experience for hosting an amazing event once again. And shout out to everyone watching and all my competitors.
Thanks, Mika. And Ross, any shout outs from you?
Just to the other drivers, yourself and Alwin for producing a Laguna championship. That's it.
And Sean, anything you want to add? It looked like you were about to say something, so you want to do a shout out or add anything else?
No shout out. I was just gonna say a little bit on the tire thing. I found, yes, definitely the tires wore down, but I was loving it. It just allowed me to drift the car a little bit more and like really hook it up into the corners. It was almost more forgiving when it was on the limit. So I don't think my pace actually dropped off. I think I might have gained pace closer to the end.
Yeah,
So,
your lap times definitely look
strange.
good.
Strange.
I did notice that certainly in our testing, the different drivers found the car with the traction control on or off suited different guys better. The guys that liked it to rotate more liked it off. And you maybe are one of those that likes it to rotate a bit more, and with it wearing, maybe it rotated just the right amount for you without it slipping too much. So who knows? But it's definitely suits the guys, different levels of the car, and it's quite nice having a car that varies so much, giving everyone a fair chance.
Traction control was off for me.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I know some of the guys, I know Timo was running with it on level 1. He had said before that suited him nicely, and he was pretty quick and consistent. Unfortunately, he had a penalty at the start, so I think he didn't make it out on track in time or something.
Okay.
But alright, thanks guys. I will just go say the final say. I'll say goodbye to you before I say goodbye to everyone else. So thanks again for joining us and joining us in the commentary booth for the podium interviews. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
So there we have it from the guys. All sorts of action happening. Some guys happy, some guys not happy. I guess that's racing. First race of the new season, some of the guys getting a bit too ambitious and lots of incidents. So we'll have to have a look at the reviews and see what action needs to be taken. And unfortunately, some guys driving a bit too harsh, and the guys not backing off when they need to back off. So hopefully the next round will be much better. It's a much more open flowing track. This is a much tighter track, so we'll see. Some of the rounds are going to be tighter, some of the rounds are going to be more fast and flowing. Quite a variety of tracks throughout, so we'll see how it progresses throughout the rest of the season. But thanks for joining us tonight, everyone, and thanks again for Alwin for sponsoring us and making this amazing event possible. Without them, we wouldn't be here. And thanks to everyone for joining tonight, making tonight's opening round a success. Great to have 20 guys showing up at first. Unfortunately, some disconnecting, some having problems in the race. Hopefully we'll have some more guys joining from the rest of the races. But thanks to everyone, and thanks to everyone in the YouTube comments, our regulars that are always there. Denise, always there for her son. Lynn, always there for Jason. Peter Geldernees, chatting while driving. Rudy there as well. Rian van der Westhuizen couldn't drive, but at least he could come join us in the comments. So thanks for joining us. Hope to see you then, and Thanks to everyone, and enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll catch you all next week.